Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Owen, this is Cory, we've got Catherine behind the camera. Today we're going to be talking about Superscope and Cthulhu's performance at the June, was it?
Yeah, June.
June NHRL event. A little bit of a preview for the August NHRL event, which we're coming back to win, obviously.
Yes, of course.
And we're also going to give commentary on all of our fights. So let's jump right into it.
Okay, I'd like to get us started. I'd like to talk about Cthulhu for a minute here. This bot is in its third generation. The first one was a 15-pounder in my high school weight division. A month after that, I made the first iteration of the 12-pound Cthulhu, and that I brought to the NHRL.
It did pretty well.
It did all right. The biggest problem was the weapon motor. After we upgraded that, you can see it did pretty well. It definitely kicked some butt. I'm looking to keep improving on it, but I'd like to lean into Superscope and the changes between Cthulhu and Superscope.
So Superscope is very similar to Cthulhu. You can see similar paint jobs, similar weapons on them. We wanted to try a couple of different things with it. It was running a single tooth blade. It was running the maximizer wheels with cleats on them, a little bit more powerful drive, and it was running a 48 volt system instead of 24 volts. So with those couple of changes, it ended up spinning faster and driving faster. We obviously both did pretty well at the last event, so it's not clear which one made the correct changes. So this next event, we're changing some minor stuff and seeing if we can gather some more data.
Of course, we hope to face again, because this time we really want to try to give it a good fight and prove which one we can see even more data on, which one's better.
We kind of screwed up hitting into each other at the last competition. So you'll see later, we are actually meshing instead of hitting into each other, so we didn't get that like 600-mile-an-hour impact that we wanted to.
We'll explain that later, but yeah, just stay tuned.
But.
So the first fight was mine, and it was against Buzz-Kill. Going into this fight, I was pretty nervous, seeing he's a pretty high seed. I saw Jake beat him before, but that didn't make this fight any easier.
Different team, HoneyShock?
Yes, very popular team. They definitely brought a lot of bots this last competition. I'd love to see them. But going into this fight, our blades, I looked into it, they're offset. And since I have so much more reach on it, I felt anything could really happen, except I was pretty confident in my blade design going into this, because I could get a reach on him where he couldn't even touch me if my blade stayed spinning. So this was the first test of this motor, so we'll see how it went.
You'll notice, so Cthulhu is being driven by Cory in this fight. I am driving Little Mini Bot. Both of these bots weigh 13.2 pounds, so you'll see in all of our fights except one, we are running the Mini Bot in there because it needs to be ran.
So you see, I'm just hitting into that TPU. I can't get that big of a bite.
And see, his weapon's already down.
Yeah, that motor right there is just weak towards these horizontals that get an offset on it. Honestly, I felt like it was a really bad matchup for him. I don't want to say my bot is a lot better, because this was honestly one of my easiest matchups of the day against a pretty high-ranked bot. So.
And Buzz-Kill's pretty fast. His drive got impaired pretty early, but the first couple of rushes that he does on you is very high drive speed.
Yeah, and like, I hate to say it, but this was a great test for Cthulhu in the first fight to see how well I was going to do in the rest of the event, how well I could test my motor. And after this fight, I'd like to say my motor was one of the hottest it was in the entire event. That TPU, somehow I was running it, but the motor got really warm.
We also ran a little bit more conservative throughout the day.
Yeah, that's true. After this first fight, I was getting more nervous. I didn't want a reenactment of the last event.
All right. Up next is Superscope's first fight. This was against Kent State, another Ohio team. Their bot Flashbang. Flashbang is a welded aluminum frame with a welded AR500 drum and a lot of really low infill TPU armor on the sides. I was pretty confident going in that I was going to be able to cut through the TPU, but this fight for me was a big test of just how the robot drove. Because Superscope was so fast at testing that it was really hard to drive, which you will see now. It is very speedy once I get it up to speed.
And honestly, after playing with the remote with that bot, you honestly did a pretty good job, especially at the start of most fights.
You can see me overcorrect a lot because it's just really difficult to control.
Yeah.
It flips out a little bit, but yeah. And then right here, I am upside down. Is this where I flip over or no? Yeah,
yes,
right here.
Yes.
No. Okay, never mind.
It's later.
You'll see later in a fight. You'll see what happens. But what happened to Flashbang there? I ripped his wheel off. I flipped him over. I think I cut a belt maybe. But put some decent chunks of the drum into the armor. But nice quick knockout.
Blink and you'll miss it. Honestly,
yes.
with these, yeah.
On to the next one.
Now, this next fight was a huge deal for me. Krunk, if you didn't know, took me out in the last event. It wasn't in a way that I would be ashamed of. It was a judge's decision. My weapon went out. My only change to the bot from last time was my weapon motor.
You see, you're trying to camp in the corner here, bait him out.
Last time I camped in the corner and I waited for Zach, who was driving it last time, to swing on me, and he did. And I knocked him upside down right off the rip, and it was a very good tactic. You see, Joe is a much more conservative driver with Krunk, and you can definitely tell their driving skills much
little tail whip there.
Yeah. You can see Jake Hoffman. I take some notes from Jake. Yes.
You'll notice I'm driving the mini-bot horribly because I'm watching the fight and not paying attention to where I'm driving.
It was a very stressful fight, yeah. This was one of my most scary fights. As soon as I flip him upside down, I got nervous. I didn't want to blow it. He got extremely nervous. As soon as I hit him when he was upside down, I actually get a bite on the top of his weapon, and that bends his frames in. What was he using? 7075 aluminum, and that actually broke the aluminum on those uprights.
We have some pictures of the stuff. I'll throw it up on screen now. You can see how destroyed this bot is.
It was honestly a miracle for me. I felt like this was the best test I could do. And going into the event, I knew that I would be fighting Krunk second after if I beat my first match against Buzz-Kill, and I did both. I felt like I did a great job. This was a wonderful test for the new version of Cthulhu.
So this put you as number 4 seed in the entire bracket.
This did. I was a very high seed going into it, and that means I had a bye in the first round too.
Yep.
So this was my last fight of the day as well.
Yeah.
Superscopes, you'll see next.
On to my second fight. Saturday.
Yeah.
Alright, this is Superscope's second fight of Saturday. This was going to be my last fight regardless. So this was the first round of the tournament. Single elimination, so you lose and you're out. We are facing Bigger Bill, which the bot that you see only weighs 7.5 pounds. It was supposed to be a multi-bot, and they burned out their drive in the first match of the day on one of them. So this is the only one that I have left. It's a big plate of steel with a lifter in the middle and some drive pods on the outside. So
I was honestly a little lost while you were talking, watching myself driving the mini bot and trying to stuff it into the house bot. I honestly didn't remember that happening. That's funny to see though.
We were already pretty happy that the mini bot made it this far and didn't get taken out by somebody.
Definitely.
The bots needed the mini bot, and we only had one the entire day for both robots.
I'm happy nobody figured that out.
But behind the scenes, we also only had one controller for both robots. So we were actively switching which controller control which bot during the day and handing them off to each other.
Some kinks to work out in the future, definitely, yes.
Alright, Bigger Bill box rushes me and immediately loses the drive side. I kind of mosey around, spin up, and go in for a hit. It is a pretty violent hit.
I was watching that.
Oh, here's what happens. Okay, I spin to celebrate, and for whatever reason, because of the dynamic instability of Superscope's blade and the little bit of an angle that sits at, I can flip over on command.
I don't know if that was on command though.
Well, that was I didn't know I was doing it intentionally, but
that box rush by Bigger Bill was honestly one of the best I have ever seen.
It was honestly pretty good.
I was not ready for it. I was startled. I wasn't prepared for that at the beginning, honestly. And then that second hit, I wasn't prepared for that either. I didn't know what was in that bot. That was a huge hit on that AR.
I hit him right on the end of that giant steel plow, and it was such a hard hit for how light that robot is that it was just,
You need to crank down the weapon assembly a little bit after that one. Definitely.
Right.
After that, I think that was the last fight of the day.
Yes.
So
this was Norrock's 2-day event. We got to go home, hang out at the hotel, go swimming.
Go swimming a little bit. Yeah.
So then we were back on Sunday.
Let's check out how we did that.
All right, this is the first fight of Sunday for Superscope. You are about to see probably Superscope's best fight, I'd say.
This was intense.
This is against Widdly Wah. Widdly Wah is very similar to like Kaleidoscope V1. In looks, it was a combination of like an AR and UHW chassis, big AR vertical spinner. And yeah, it's normal four-wheel drive vert.
Now
they have a mini bot as well.
You can see there was a very mix of opinions there. Superscope was stuck on the side, but you can see in the same shot that Widdly Wah's weapon was probably bent out solid couple inches there.
I did not mean to hit the mini bot there. I could not see it from where I was standing.
I remember in this fight, I was driving the mini bot, and Owen, when he got stuck on the side, was lost on where Widdly Wah was in the arena.
He was stuck behind. He was behind the house bot. I could not see where Widdly Wah was, so that's why I accidentally took out the mini bot. So okay, this is I remember this. I am driving nice and slow to spin the weapon up. As soon as the weapon spins up, you see me go like full super speed.
And we talked about this. That was not intentional. That whole tail whip 180 thing.
Yeah.
This gearbox is slipping on that wheel by this time, and it worked in his favor there. We can see later. Sometimes it may not. But there's the W.
Yeah. So still a lot of driving practice to be had on this.
Yes, especially with those cleats.
It
and
has the
motors.
potential to go way faster,
Yes,
like you saw, but it hits pretty hard.
Hey, I wouldn't be driving it that fast. You can see our driving difference with Superscope and Cthulhu. I drive really conservative. It's
full speed or not.
I almost want to say it's Zach compared to Joe.
It's pretty similar.
I don't want to say one's better. I don't think there is an equivalent, but there is definitely a big difference in the driving style.
Look at this. Look at
that mini bot, man.
The poor mini bot.
I'm just happy that never happened to ours. Personally.
I'm also sorry for Norwalk for taking so many chunks out of their box.
Oh,
there was some big chunks out of there.
Yes, indeed. The next fight was me, wasn't it?
Yes.
Let's take a look. This fight is very closely ranked, I think, to my Disko fight in brutality, engagement. I just felt this was a very good fight for me. Torrential was a mean bot. I knew it going into it. They won the new bots event. I still had to go through many bots after this.
So Torrential, when these weapon-on-weapon engagements, is running AR600 weapons from RECR.US.
Take a look.
So it did pretty well.
They did all right.
He was not running a horizontal config.
He was not for this, and you can see that definitely hinders him against this huge blade of Cthulhu.
So Cory's already ripped off the side. Right there, you saw the weapon ESC blow up.
Yeah,
and it's just hard hits.
It goes downhill from here. As soon as he gets flipped over, as many bots do, such as Krunk and other verts with those ears, getting flipped over, they can drive, but man,
not well.
It's scary for him too. Mm-hmm. So you can see I turned my weapon down here, and I kind of am thinking about what I want to do in this situation. I know I have some hard fights to go into. I know I could fight HoneyShock, or I could be fighting Nightcrawler, which are both our competitors. This weapon, I turn it down now because I don't want to blow it up. I think about it, and I say, right here, I crank it up to full. I'm saying I want to put an end to this now. I don't want my weapon going. I wait for him to call for an unstick. You see the house bot move. As soon as he does that, I hit him. Yeah. I was trying to do that later on in other fights, but I just hesitated too much. I did it fine in this. House bot comes up. I back up. By that time...
Notice the amazing mini-bot driving.
The mini-bot driving is impressive over there. Yeah, you can tell. Really carrying the fight, the mini-bot is. You can see... now, that was one of my favorite... I think we need to rewatch that. That was one of my favorite scenes from the entire night. Me 180 tail whipping the mini-bot with my weapon barely moving. I love that. I think that should be a GIF. By that point, GIF, sorry, yeah. By that point, Torrential was in the corner. Clorox is just giving us crap. Torrential put up definitely a hard fight. I was definitely nervous in going into that. Golden Dumpster winner as well.
Yeah.
January new bots event. He was definitely a big name going into it. I heard a lot about him. He brought two bots there, didn't he?
Yes.
About the same, right?
They were similar designs. I don't think Torrent went as far in the day. I think it got knocked out earlier on.
Well, Torrential didn't go as far as me, but
well said.
well, yeah. Next up, I think is your fight against Bobby, right?
Bobby. Yeah.
This is gonna be a hard one to watch. Okay.
All right, we're jumping right into Superscope versus Bobby here. Bobby's built by Jonathan Clark out of Colorado. Bobby's also running AR600. He's actually got a little bit bigger blade than Superscope does here. But since I have a smaller weapon hub, I actually am able to hit him first. So those sparks you saw were me hitting a titanium plate on his bot and seizing up the weapon. So Bobby's weapon is already down like less than 20 seconds.
Now those tires are getting ripped up. It seems like a lot of damage. You can see it doesn't affect him at all. And those tires really affect Superscope later on, and you're about to see why.
Right there, yeah. So you see my belt fall.
Yeah, there
what
it is
happened there, and there's actually a giant chunk of Bobby's tire inside my frame rails. Bobby's tires are made of yoga mats, so it's really hard to tear. I didn't let my blade spin up all the way. So I hit him at low speeds. You can see one of his tires is missing a big chunk, which causes him to bounce. I sucked that in between my frame rails, ripped the belt off, and then stuffed it. So at this point, I've switched into trying to control the match. So you can see me really put on the full speed here when I control him. Superscope can drive at 16 miles an hour and has the most powerful drive in the class.
It definitely had the power to push him around. It was just a matter of getting on him.
So you see me try to drive backwards, drive forwards, do a couple of different things. CJ's also getting involved with the mini-bot to show the judges that it's not just sitting.
I'm doing all I can because we actually overheard the judges, the announcers saying
they wanted to
see the mini-bot. They were like, mini-bot getting in there and that kind of thing. They said good things about it. So there's no harm in putting it in. I don't think those foam wheels are going to do much on top of it.
No, not at this point.
But going off of getting that foam wheel sucked in, I actually ran into that with the first version of Cthulhu, the 15-pounder. I had a lot more room between the frames, but I was testing the weapon and I hit a piece of aluminum and it just got sucked right in and cut the belt instantly. I must say we are blessed to not go through as many belts as we could.
Yes.
We have gotten very lucky, I want to say. I don't know if it's design-wise. I want to say it's luck, almost, but
I don't think there's a good solution to sucking debris in.
There's really not.
Because Spectroscope in the 3-pound class had the same thing happen to Hot Wings. I sucked his entire extruder arm into the bot. Even if you put some sort of guard or like narrower opening on there, full melty brain mode right here as well.
This was impressive. This was
Bobby does it here in a minute as well for fun.
just to batch us. I think I start doing it too, but
but by this point we're both just having some fun. Bobby is looking a lot worse for wear. His wheels, the bot gets bouncier as it goes on. His googly eyes have also fallen off.
Yes.
So the bot looks kind of funny.
He was, he just had the smile on, almost very intimidating.
Looks kind of creepy.
Yes.
Oh, and then right here.
Oh, this was a bad way to end.
I pivot the bot up with like 10 seconds left on the clock, and I get myself stuck just barely on the blade tip with 4 seconds left.
I couldn't help him there because the mini-bot drives like crap. He differs, but I think it drives like crap. That was a very scary fight. While it seems like we're having fun, you can see our faces here. We are very nervous going into that. This was to qualify, right?
Yes. So this was the match to qualify for finals. I felt like I dominated pushing the match around. Bobby doesn't have the best traction.
It's really
But
hard.
it was the last 10 seconds right there.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning this.
Yes.
I don't know if it was split or unanimous.
I don't remember.
But I did end up winning it. I would have felt a lot more confident. I know it would have been unanimous if I didn't get stuck at the end.
That stick at the end definitely scared me. But also I want to say those bots like Bobby almost remind me a lot of Huge, and those it's as soon as both weapons goes out and it's a push match, it's really hard for them to win a control.
They don't have the traction to show that they're aggressive. Like this has the speed that I race around the bots.
And I'm almost making it sound like Superscope just walked away with it. He honestly did a very good job operating Bobby in that. I almost thought it was very matched. It could have gone either way. Honestly, I think that if it went Superscope, if it went Bobby, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, it wasn't one that I 100% felt kaleidoscope Demi Gordon. It wasn't something that I thought that I completely won, but it was close enough that
it was very even. Yeah, I feel like I'm happy with the outcome. And next fight is back-to-back with you.
No,
yeah.
Well, it's almost back-to-back. It was like a couple fights ago.
We'll take a look.
Let's jump to that one.
So, this fight, I was honestly, I wasn't sure how I should feel about it.
This is against HoneyShock.
HoneyShock, yeah.
I am not driving the minibot this fight.
He
as
is
well.
not.
Jake is driving the minibot. It has a little hat on it.
Jake Hoffman, YouTube overnight sensation, Golden Dumpster winner,
Norwalk
announcer, Norwalk,
Extreme Bots announcer.
Extreme Bots announcer. He does everything. Jake Hoffman, basically a celebrity at this point. This fight is very quick. You can see...
HoneyShock is all the yellow that you see as TPU.
Yes,
and
that
it did
TPU,
not hold up.
And after seeing how Buzz-Kill, another Team Honeycrack bot, the TPU, how I kind of just ate through it, it wasn't looking good for them at the start of this, especially since they turned their back to me. I really took advantage of that immediately, and I turned around.
Yeah. We have a picture of the entire drive side of HoneyShock that CJ was able to hit from the inside.
It doesn't seem like much happens in that fight, but it really, their bot, it really jacked it up. I almost couldn't tell from that. I feel like electronics, that I just got into it at the very beginning. It was very quick. I feel like my driving showed, getting around them like that. And I feel like my practice paid off, as Jake would say, speaking of him. But yeah, I feel like that was a great fight. I feel like it tried good warm up my driving. I think I did a great job. And next up is for the finals.
Yeah.
It is for the finals.
Semi-finals.
So it's against Ugee. So let's take a look.
All right, this is to get into this is a semi-final match. This is Superscope versus last year's Golden Brett winner and world champion,
the big boss.
The boss. So I need to hit on the UHW wheel, direct hit on the weapon.
Don't blink.
And
their weapon was basically done.
And that's it. They tapped.
So I think you should explain how their bot, what happened after that hit.
So with a direct hit, with the amount of power that Superscope packs, direct hit on that weapon blade on these huge style bots, it just crumpled everything on the inside. So I was able to deliver that energy to their blade, bend the blade, snap the belt, shove the whole weapon module into the drive motor, take out a drive side, and cause some other damage to the chassis. They just one hit.
One huge hit.
I would like to clarify, Ugee has never been knocked out before.
That was their first knockout ever.
Pretty much a single hit.
And that is an impressive feat, I would say. I mean, kudos to you. I feel like that was the best matchup we could get. I feel like you'll see in the next fight against Disko with me, I feel like you getting Ugee and me getting Disko was probably the best matchups we could get.
I think
because Superscope has that
the one-hit power,
the much faster weapon, and he doesn't have as much armor on the back. Whereas I have more armor and I'm more beefy that I can take more hits from a bot like Disko.
But just this match, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a big wheel type bot to be able to withstand that hit.
Against a huge horizontal blade like this, there's not much you can really do. And honestly, now looking at it, mid-cutters like this, you don't see them often. Huge blades like this, and that's why Ugee, I don't think that's why they've ever been knocked out. So you can see that was a pretty big win for Owen. Now we're going to look at another big win.
Let's jump to the other Dorfler.
Yes, let's take a couple minutes in advance. Yes.
All right, coming off our huge win, where we literally walked over to the other cage, swapped controllers, and now CJ is fighting against Disko.
This was my most scared I've ever been when fighting a robot against
I would say Disko is the best bot to face our style. A two-wheel drive vert with a giant wedge across the front. I don't think you could build a better setup to face.
And that two-wheel drive drives just as good as any four-wheel. It's incredible. So you could see huge hits I hit on Disko.
Disko gets inverted nearly every time.
Yes, it is just massive exchanges here. I get sent up a couple times. He sends me higher than anybody has with this current design in this competition. I get him stuck on the arena. A very shaky unstick.
But using his unstick, now Disko's upside down, able to get hits on the uprights, and right here, tearing through the polycarbonate cover.
Yes, that cover was definitely a weak spot. I was definitely aiming for it. You can see me trying to bounce around, staying behind him, and not on the weapon, even though he's inverted.
Little tail whip.
Another huge tail whip. I can see there's a lot of damage from those, and that's where Jake, I definitely pay attention to how he drives. This was a huge moment for me, watching him drift around. I predicted where he was going to go, drove straight. Disko's weapon is done, but I am preoccupied currently with my bot balancing up. That was unplanned for. I did put screws in the back, so it would barely not balance.
Yeah.
That was a massive hit.
So you can see Disko's weapon ejected from the robot,
Yes.
falling on the ground now.
This fight, I watch it every night before I go to sleep. I let it replay in my brain. It is just so magical to see such a difficult opponent, a scary opponent like Disko, having their cables sitting out of their bot, their weapon on the ground. I almost want to thank them for tapping out there. They made the right choice because you can see me lurking with my weapon at full power right behind them. They didn't want the money cost from that, and they already put up a great show. That was a wonderful showing. I thought I was sweating that fight. It was very scary the entire time. I felt that was my greatest test for this bot. I felt like that was my greatest achievement. And at this point, it is a magical moment, not just for Owen, but for me as well, that we are going to face each other in the finals, and it is emotions all over the place. It's crazy what is going down. It's a miracle at work. And if you watch the interview, you can see we chose to fight.
So there's an interview with Cory and I where we say we're going to fight each other. There's an interview with our mom and dad where they talk about some stuff.
Definitely watch that, yes.
But,
it's very great. But we're just going to skip right into it. So let's take a look.
And now we're in the final.
We are. This was a great moment for me. Regardless of them spelling my name with an E, Cory, just keep that in mind. But going into this,
So this is the only match of the day where there's no mini-bot, because we are both overweight.
This was also the only match of the day that I was not nervous and I was excited and ready to fight. I remember saying to my mother, my dear mom standing right next to me, I am so excited to kick his butt. I am going to whoop him. And I was just excited. Excitement through the roof.
Wheels gone.
Wheels gone there. I want to play back that exchange. So we drift against each other. He hits my wheel. I hit his.
So because Superscope spins faster than Cthulhu and we were meshing blades, I was actually going under his blade, pushing him to the side and grabbing the wheel. He also hit my wheel in that exchange. That's why it's kind of crooked.
Yes. And
okay. Also, I go off screen here. The reason I don't come back on, you'll see a shower of wood chips
everywhere.
That is me self-righting just by spinning around in a circle. So next time you see me, I'm just back upright.
And I honestly
because I didn't want to take his belt out. That was
yes. And our two goals into this: don't take any belts and don't take any wheels. And he screwed that. So I have to get him back right here.
So I'm just trying to hit. We're just trying to go for big hits. That's all we're doing.
Yes.
If I wanted to hit his other wheel, I could.
He could, and we both could have done the same.
I cut my own belt off.
Yes.
Superscope's frame and bearings are finally destroyed enough where I have no belt left. Where it bent enough, I don't have belt left.
Yes.
Ironically, the hits are now larger now because my weapon's stationary.
Yes. Yes. I am getting massive hits on him.
I decided to go full melty mode again.
And I want to thank Owen for letting me get these huge hits on him because he's spinning so fast. But you can see that actually hurts me very bad right here because he spins fast
right here.
And he makes me hit myself into the wall. I gotta believe that blade was at least a 1/4 inch deep in that wood.
Yeah.
I got stuck really bad.
Amazing unstick.
Amazing unstick, wedging me deeper. At this point, I'm like, okay, get me out of this wall. I'll see what I can do. Let me try to work him. And then, as the announcer points out, I realized my wheel is not spinning.
Yeah.
I was trying it the whole time, but you know, the gear started. It wasn't aligning. It was slipping.
That hard flat hit against the wall ripped the motor can off of the pinion. So everything was still attached, but the pinion was slipping.
Yes, and
we have a fix for it next time.
We do. It won't happen again. Anybody that's coming for us.
The wheels also won't come off.
We will be also using some souped up wheels. My wheel will not come off. The gearboxes won't die. Check out Goldie Boxes, RECR.us.
Yeah,
you can see they bring dumpsters. Look at Maximizer. Look at Superscope.
Last event, these two first and second. Event before, Maximizer first place as well. All Goldie Box powered.
I'm saying there's a collaboration there.
There's a
correlation going on between the blades and the Goldie Boxes. But I just want to say that it was a great day, a great moment for me. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face for hours. I remember it was a great night hanging out in the hotel, just relaxing after a huge day like that.
The 2-day events are so nice.
It was a really nice moment, especially for fighting so many times like that. I felt really great going home, not at 1 o'clock, not at 12 o'clock, but we went out at what, like 2:30?
I think it was a little bit later than that.
It was like 2:30.
We were back at the hotel swimming at like 5 or 6.
Yeah, and we were so relaxed. We slept great. We left, and it was a great moment to remember. I feel like that was honestly textbook on how you want an event to go, and we're hoping to make it happen again.
Yeah.
For the next competition, I think we're gonna try to save some of the announcements for when we are on the podcast.
Yes.
Bring that
so
up.
we are going to be on the Outside of the Box podcast.
Yes.
So Cory and I are going to be on there, similar setup to what you see here, talking a little bit more about our previews for the August event. So these two are both the bots that came out of the last event. I really haven't taken them apart.
Nothing has changed.
You all have swamped me with AR600 orders.
Yes.
So I have not had any time. But these two are both getting some upgrades based off of what we learned. Both of them are going to be back even more powerful.
Yeah.
We know we have to go through Maximizer.
We do
at this event,
and I'm hoping to get that matchup to get him back. He says he has some crazy setup for us. I'd like to see it because I want to take him down. I'm going to take him down.
I think he's been hiding it from me. I think it's fake. I think he's just trying to.
I think he's just trying to intimidate us. Hopefully, but we are going to be talking about our changes to the bots, what we're going to be doing in that podcast, and our predictions for how this event is going to go. Different matchups. We'll see what we're going to do. Definitely, we're going to bring up the changes. Stay tuned for that, and definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.